Hi, I think I'm live on Facebook and on Instagram at the same time. So hopefully, whatever. I'm just gonna go, and I'm gonna try not to look at myself. So, hi guys. My name's Justine Froelker. I am an author, speaker, certified Daring Way and Dare to Lead Facilitator, and I am a licensed professional counselor by trade. And so I'm going to be looking in because I'm very passionate about looking in the holes so that I'm making eye contact with you, but I'm live on my Instagram and on Facebook at the same time. But I am coming to you today because I've had several messages from my friends about how they can help their kids during this very weird and strange time and hard time that we are in. And I honestly don't think I've ever been more nervous for a live, and I do a lot of video work and I talk about a lot of hard things. However, I was pretty frustrated when I was texting with my friend, and then God was like, "You're gonna go live," and I was like, "Yeah, I could go live." And then it was like, boom, no, you're not. No one cares what you have to say because you can't have kids. And they're going to be thinking in their head, what does she know? She is sequestered at home with just 3 dogs. And so you will learn this very quickly about me if you are new to my work. I speak shame because when you put words around emotions, they don't write and own your entire story. And so I will speak that out loud because it's not true, because I am an expert when it comes to vulnerability and empathy and courage work. And I do have information that families need right now. And so I will follow the first God thought, which was you will serve and you will help families that are struggling during this time. And I will not lean in and follow the second thought, which is the doubt and the fear, because that's not a God thought. So, so here I go. So, if you've never followed one of my lives, also I'm really big in like stating expectations. So I will not read your comments until the end because I just want to give you some good information to help you get through this difficult time. So first off, a little thing. How many of us grew up in a home where we were encouraged to get curious about our emotions? In other words, like when you said, "I'm feeling scared," your mother figure or your father figure got down on your level and said, "Oh, you're feeling scared? Tell me more about that." Most of us didn't grow up in those homes, and our parents did their very best. You are doing your very best. We do our best with what we have in that moment. And yet, most of us did not grow up in homes where we were encouraged to get curious about our feelings and talk about them and express them in a healthy way. And so we are going to do better. And so because many of us didn't grow up in a home like that, most of us are also walking around this earth not really understanding or knowing what to do or how to speak our emotions. And now we're raising little humans in this really tumultuous, difficult, new, scary, maybe even exciting time to you, because it's okay for it to be all of those things. And so, like, first off, you helping your kids through this difficult time is going to require you to get curious about how you are feeling during this difficult time. How are emotions showing up for you? What are you feeling? How are you expressing them? How are you speaking about them? Because your kiddos see it, and more than that, they feel it. They feel it. No matter how much you're having quiet conversations or you don't have the news on, they know and they hear way more than you think they do. Okay, and we're going to talk about the dangers of that in a little while. But like, I want you first, like, how do emotions show up for you in your body? Because it's also important for you to teach that to your kiddos. Give them the language around feelings. I hear so much from moms. One of the most common messages I get is, "He's starting to have anxiety and it's affecting his sleep. Can you help us?" And it's yes, I can help. And then I often say, like, is it anxiety? Give him the word anxiety. Well, I don't want to do that because then he's anxious. Then he knows no, he already knows he's anxious. He already feels it in his body. Give him the words to wrap around it. Because when we give language to things, they don't hold so much power that they write and own our entire story. So give them the words, okay? And so, like, give them the language in age-appropriate words and stories, and also help them feel it and show them where it might show up in their body, okay? And so, like, when it comes to emotions, our emotions pretty much show up the same in our body. It just kind of depends what our thought process is around it. So it's important for kiddos to have that. So when emotions show up, when you're angsty, when you're triggered, you probably have something happening in your head, like racing thoughts, ruminating thoughts, no thoughts, tunnel vision, rehearsing. Like as a kid, I was a ruminator. I rehearsed everything over and over and over and over and would replay. Well, they said this and this is what I said. Well, I could have said this. Well, then I could have said that. They are doing that. Okay. So what happens in our heads, then it's usually maybe something in your chest, like pounding heart, a brick on your chest, really racing heart. But what's happening here for me, it's the pounding heart. I always tell people in my teaches, like, if you think, or I think if you put my tiny body in a lake when I was triggered by emotion, I would flood the town out because my body would just create the waves. That's how much I feel my heart pound through my whole body, okay? Then it's probably something in your belly, especially for kiddos and for anxiety and fear, it shows up in their belly. That's also true for adults though, let's be honest. So churning belly, the nervous poops, brick in your belly, something's happening down here. You might have clammy, sweaty palms, which doesn't feel physiologically possible, that my hands are cold and hot at the same time. You might get dry mouth, your hearing might go out, but like, what are your tells? How does your body tell you that you are hooked by emotion, that you're feeling a lot right now? And so when we wrap words around that, like, we're going to recognize it in your body. And then because we want to get our body slowed down and back on track, because when I'm hooked by emotion, what happens in my brain is that I go into fight, flight, or freeze response. My sympathetic nervous system pops in and comes in to save the day, which usually means a lot of times we react from our emotions by raging, by crying. For kiddos, it might be impulsive behavior, uncontrollable crying. It could be hitting, lack of sleep, things like that. I'd also like to point out that's pretty much the same for a lot of adults, especially in times like this. And so I want to realize when my body is hooked, and I need to get my thinking brain back on track, because when my body is hooked and my brain is in fight, flight, or freeze response, my emotions are writing everything. My emotions are reacting, and I want to bring my thinking brain back on track, which means I have to slow down the physiological response. And that is where some of these things and the tools that come in that I've taught for years that you can teach to your kiddos, like deep breathing in through your nose, expanding your belly really big, pulling in your belly and exhaling through your mouth or nose, it doesn't matter. There's so many breathing exercises and breathing apps. I have a lot of them on my website. I've recorded so many videos on breathing, but you have to get your breath to slow down, to get your heart and blood pressure to slow down, because that brings your thinking brain back on track. The other things that we teach in this curriculum are paying attention. Like I'm going to pay attention to what I'm doing, what I smell, what I think, what I feel, because right now it might not be the best idea to talk to my brother or sister right now, or to have a hard conversation with my spouse because I'm totally triggered by emotion. And then I'm going to be mindful of the emotion, and I'm not going to over attach to it. So there's this piece of like, give them the language for the words, the language for the actual emotions. And I will, when I like post all these, I will in a comment put like type up our like Rumble glossary, like our emotion glossary, okay? And then like talk about how this shows up really different for a lot of people. So Some of you might be struggling with how your spouse or your partner is responding to this crisis. Your kids feel the same way. Like, why does my brother not even care about any of this? So in fear and trauma, and when we're hooked and feeling angsty, we respond differently based on our age, based on our gender, based on our personality. And all of it's okay. Have that conversation with them. Open and honest in age appropriate ways, okay? Like, it's normal for your little brother to like really not care and just be really excited that he's home from school. And meanwhile, your 12-year-old daughter is really, really, really struggling and feeling everything. Those are two very different kids. And there's not a right way or a wrong way of responding. There is a healthy way in how we name our emotions, how we bring our thinking brain back on track, and definitely in how we cope with those emotions. There's healthier, okay? And so it's that part. The other piece, like, to give them permission to feel whatever they're feeling. Like, we don't need to freak them out that they should be freaking out, right? But there's a lot of change. So name it. Give them permission to struggle and give them permission to feel, give them permission to respond to those emotions with boundaries. What's okay and what's not okay in your household. So when you're really upset, it's not okay that you throw your toys. It is okay if you say, I need to take a break and go in my bedroom by myself. Like, give them the words, help them to identify what their boundaries are. For your household, for your family, for that child, depending on their age and their gender and their personality. So like, what's okay and what's not okay. Boundaries, really, really important. One of the other notes that I took for myself, they hear you. They hear a lot more of you than you think they do. And because really kiddos' brains and personalities, some of our research will say that they really start to mold themselves to fit the world around age 10. So prior to that, it's really pure. They are hearing you. They are hearing bits and pieces from their friends and family, from the news or videos that you're playing on your phone or on your social media. They hear more than you think. And it's not okay to shelter them from what's really happening, and we need to protect them at the same time. So it's like the both and, it's that permission of the and part. But the piece that I want you to kind of really acknowledge is that when they hear some of it, when they hear bits and pieces of it from their friends on the apps that they're on, or through the videos that you're watching on social media, or conversations that you're having with the adults in your house, when they hear bits and pieces of it, they fill in the missing data points with crazy stuff. Because we all do. Our brains are wired for story. Our brain has to have a beginning, middle, and end to a story. Something happens, I realize that I feel something in my body. I'm going to fill in the missing data points in between that. In the lack of data, our brains fill in stuff. And our brains usually fill it in with stuff that is inaccurate and super dramatic. So my point is like when your kids are just getting bits and pieces, most likely they're filling in the missing parts. And so to have conversations with them, like one of the things that I think would be great is like to have check-ins, and it depends on your family, but how often do you maybe need to sit down and say, do you have any questions about what's happening right now? And then when they ask a question and you don't know the answer, you don't make stuff up. You lean into your vulnerability and you say, I'm not sure. I'm going to check and I'm going to come back. And then you make sure you circle back with them and you answer their question. Don't leave it unresolved. But they are writing their own stories. And so to have those check-ins, it might need to be every day. It might need to be just a couple days a week, depending on how your family's functioning during this time of isolation or separation. I don't want to say isolation. More than them hearing you and getting bits and pieces, they feel you. They are sponges. I'm a sponge and I'm freaking 40. They feel what's happening in the world. Even if you have not watched any news in front of them, things are different. Life is very different. They feel the energy. Remember, they haven't taken on the shield of morphing to the world. They're just them. So they feel it. And so checking in with them. I'm looking at, I took notes because that's how nervous I was for this. Oh yeah. So they are looking to you to simply know that yes, they are safe. You don't have to have all the answers for your kids. It's actually really, really refreshing for your kiddos to know that you don't have all the answers and that they are safe and will be provided by you, and that you love them and that you see them no matter how they are feeling. That even if you don't understand or you don't agree with how they are feeling, that you make sure that they feel seen, that you will choose to sit beside them with their struggle and perhaps not fix it, and simply have presence to be with them in the pain and the fear and the difficulty. So they want to feel seen. They want to know that their feelings matter. Yes, give them information. Yes, in very age-appropriate ways. Use language that is appropriate for their age. That is not my expertise, okay? But what I do know as a therapist with over 20 years of experience is that the truth will always come out. And children know when they're not getting it. They 100% know. And when we are not serving them with truth, all that happens is that they start to doubt themselves. And it changes the way they walk this earth. So, a couple just like, I don't know, tangible things. Check-in times, like, do you have any questions about what's going on? And say, I don't know, if you don't know, and then circle back. Don't leave stuff undone. It's time to find a new normal. Kids are looking to you for their normal. And say that, like, we got to create a new normal, guys. Like, what do you want our new normal to be? And know that it probably needs to have structure and flexibility, that it is going to change a lot during this time because the world is changing very quickly. But what is your new normal? Permission to struggle and permission to have fun. Permission to be scared and permission to know that this will be okay. Permission for both. We're going to feel it all. It is way uncomfortable and pretty messy, and it is absolutely where our healing lies. For parents, like, be the adult you want your children to be. Your strongest tool in your toolbox is to model what you want them to be. You model that you will feel your feelings, that you will speak them out loud, that you will identify them correctly, that you will cope with them in a healthy way, and that you will write your story, that your emotions will not own everything, especially in a time like this. And that biggest piece is like just leaning into that vulnerability part, leaning into that I don't know and I'm scared too. And I promise that we're okay. There's also a heck of a lot of grace because none of us have ever done this before. And when we say, I'm not sure, and we're in this together, that builds more trust than anything. So those are the notes I had. Okay, Instagram, no questions. You guys should see my setup here. It's a little bit iffy. I'm gonna look at some questions. Thank you, Sam. Meg. Okay. What can I do with my 4-year-old? Play. Kaylee, play. And show him like the emotions. Because man, 4-year-olds are I love 4-year-olds. I feel like they turn into people, little people at 4. It is also when we start having to defend how we feel. Because when we were 2 to 3, why was about curiosity. Why, Mom? Why? I've taught this before. And then somewhere around 4, and it only gets worse as we become adults. Why'd you do that? Why do you feel that way? Why are you crying still? We're okay. Versus, tell me more. What's going on, bud? Where do you feel it in your body? What's going on in your belly? What are you thinking? Things like that. I just tried to scroll on my phone, on my computer. What if I'm doing all these things and they're still scared? Okay. I'm scared. What we will not do is we will not identify, over attach. So like for a kiddo, we will not wear the costume of fear all the time. Like, because when he put like, it's almost like a costume, like a Halloween costume. Like if we over attach or over identify with the fear, it means like we're in a costume all of the time and no one can really see us. And like, so the fear, like we're scared all of the time, and it's not who we are, who we were created to be. And so like it again, it's so annoying. It's that, and like I'm doing all these things and he's still scared. Okay, it's scary. And you are safe. And we will get through this. And for the next 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, we're going to play, and we're not going to forget about our fear. We're going to maybe set it over here though. You could even like write it down on a piece of paper and set it up on a shelf. I used to do that with clients. Set it up in a closet shelf and be like, we're not ignoring it. We're not stuffing it down. We're not burying it, because that's not healthy, but we're going to set it aside right now, and we're going to play for a little while, because we're okay. We're safe right now in this moment. In this moment, we have everything that we need. Set it aside. And then they know it's up there. I don't know. Maybe that will help. No, it's okay that they're feeling scared. Okay. Okay, there's my questions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions. Feel free to share this. I'm just feeling very called to serve and help during this time. I have 17 new videos over on my website if you want to search by topic during this time that I just recorded this week. Or I'm releasing a video a day at 11:15. Lunch break of courage. So, Kate, how do we deal with children's anger towards others for not taking this seriously? Because that someone not taking this seriously is not about us. It's about what's happening in their life. That's where we teach grace and generous assumptions, that people are doing their best. Even when their best is not good enough for us, it doesn't mean that they have more to give. I'm compromised, so it is frustrating to see people not taking this seriously. And there's a million reasons as to why they may not be. It is not my job to be the judge and jury of that person. That is above my pay grade. I don't want that job. What I do know is that my life is better when I assume that they're not being crappy in a malicious, hateful, purposeful way. There's a video about that on my website. That is a far larger teach. Those of you who have seen me do that teach know it's a far larger teach. So I will link that video when I hop off of this live. Okay. JustineFroelker.com is where all the videos are. I'll link it. Let me know if you have questions or how I can help. Thanks. Here.